Hello, welcome to our course on small talk in English. In our 5th lesson, we give some tips on how to tell a good story. Hope you will enjoy it.
Why are we including storytelling in small talk? Surely a story is a long talk. That might be true, but stories don't have to be long, and short personal stories, sometimes called anecdotes, can be very powerful ways to influence other people. There's a lot of research that claims people are born to tell stories and understand the world in terms of stories. So let's learn about stories and include stories in our small talk. There are lots of ways to tell a story, as the thousands of types of novels and short stories tell us. But there are 4 key parts of a story that we can practice to make our stories more effective. Start with the main point or summary of the story. Then set the scene before moving on to the main action. And finally finish by showing your feelings about how the story has affected you. We'll look at each one in turn. One way in which we can make an impact is to start with the point of the story. In this way, our small talk partners can be motivated to find out what happened and better prepared to listen to you. There are different ways to do this. Get permission to tell the story. Did I tell you about the most amazing coincidence? Get attention. Guess what happened to me? I have to tell you, I have a superpower. Whichever technique you use, the listener will know the main point of the story, or at least the summary, and they will want to listen to the rest. Once we've started with our main point, the second element to a good story is to provide the background, or set the scene. What was happening? Where were you? What the weather was like? And so on. These help to build up to the main part of the story, which is the action. One common kind of language for setting the scene is the use of the past tense. For example, I was walking along the main road. There were 2 cars waiting at the lights. We wanted to see the sunrise, so we had got up early. I invited 2 friends for dinner the other day. After setting the scene, the action should be the central part of the story. A series of happenings, ending with the main event and main point. A dramatic twist, a romantic ending, a message of hope. The kind of language you will commonly use will be time sequences, such as first, next, finally, or linking in some way, for instance, however, therefore, or but. Here is an example. First, we went to the hidden lake. Then, we saw an amazing sight. However, we could not believe what we were looking at. Finally, you need to end the story with some connection to how you feel now. This is the coda or moral of the tale. You could use phrases such as, I've never liked sailing since that day, or I always get excited in early April, or what a small world.
Let's have an example of a story. This is based on a true story. Neil, living in Japan, talks about something interesting that happened to him recently. Let's listen and check how he uses the 4-part framework.
I have to tell you that I have a superpower. I invited 2 friends for dinner the other day. I knew they were from the UK, but I thought that they had never met each other. But when they saw each other at my house, their mouths were wide open and they couldn't believe who they were looking at. They had lived just 2 doors apart when they were children, but had lost touch since then. Amazing! How about that, eh? What a small world. And my superpower is making it smaller.
In this lecture, we have looked at how to tell a good story. We recommend that you start with a main point in order to get your listeners' attention. After this, effective stories have a background section, the main action, and then a link with how the story makes you feel. Telling a story needs practice. Very good storytellers have reached that state by telling stories again and then again. So try using the 4-part framework as a way to structure your stories and practice, practice, and practice. In our next lecture, we will look at further topics for small talk. Happy English learning!